You're not the only one feeling gloomy about the economy. Everyone has a case of the Mondays. Former Federal Reserve Chair Ben Bernanke says the U.S. could soon be facing, you guessed it, say it with me, stagflation at levels that we've not experienced since the 1970s. Bernanke claims the Fed should have raised interest rates a long time ago to fight inflation, and now we're all in for some pain. So is inflation about to get a lot worse before it gets better? Let's get into it with tonight's party panel. Let us meet them, including Versus Media podcast host and the Spectator USA contributing editor, Stephen L. Miller is back, along with former State Department deputy spokesperson and Fox News contributor, the glorious Marie Harf, and 2020 Libertarian Party vice presidential candidate, and so much more. There's lots to snack on with Spike Cohen. Everyone, welcome, and thank you for being here. Stephen L. Miller, I will start with you. Economists who have a rational bone in their body and skeptical brain cells have known for quite some time that the Fed has kept interest rates artificially low. So when you pump a lot of money into the economy, you're going to have problems if you don't balance it out, especially when the Fed chair is calling everything transitory. How unsurprising is all of this?
It's really surprising. Joe Biden's not a mind reader, Kennedy. What do you want from the guy? No, I mean it's like everything else. It's everything else that's come down, whether it's COVID, not being there to get COVID tests out on time, or baby formula, which is just how they handled the COVID tests, or anything else. We're told it's not happening, then it's only going to be temporary, and then it's good for you, and then we need fewer stuff anyway. And now it's the 70's are back, so that's good. I guess we can prepare for the arrival of disco. Kill me.
I don't know. I like disco. We were talking that we all, when I was getting ready today, we were discussing with the beauty team how we all would have gone to Studio 54 if it were still around. So that would have been pretty great. I would have loved to have gone horseback riding with Bianca Jagger through Studio 54. Stagflation is not
exciting. You've been doing more than that at Studio 54 with Bianca Jagger, let's face it.
Yeah,
but no, yeah, right. I wasn't around for most of the 70's myself, so this is all fun and new for someone like me.
It is. Yeah. It's retro, Marie. So isn't this great? Isn't this what we want? A little flashback? 90s lunches, 70's nonstop music brigade?
It feels like Ben Bernanke, and he really puts the blame on the Fed here. He thinks they should have raised interest rates a long time ago. They have now. I think they probably will continue to do so. And a lot of the economic news is actually pretty good. Unemployment is pretty low. That often plays into stagflation. Growth is continuing. So, look, I think this was an interesting book that Ben Bernanke has written for, he says it's an academic book. And there are some worrying economic signs, but in terms of who can actually go after, it seems like the Fed really has a lot of the action here, Kennedy.
Yes, they do, but they have abdicated that for so long. Now, Spike, there are many of us who would like to, if not end the Fed, then audit the Fed. But keeping rates unnaturally low for so long, partaking in quantitative easing and allowing bubbles to proliferate in the markets, and then all of a sudden acknowledging that it's not transitory and raising rates very, very quickly in a short period of time, can that be disastrous? And is Ben Bernanke right?
It is disastrous. It's what is already happening. We already have the flation part of stagflation, and we're beginning to see the stag part of it. And the inflation part is pretty straightforward, right? In the last 2 years, the Federal Reserve has increased the monetary supply, the amount of money circulating in the economy, by 40%. They almost halved the amount of money that's in the monetary supply, and something like 20-something% of all dollar notes that have ever been created in American history were created in the last 2.5 years. Wow. That's what's led to the inflation part of it. But we have to look at what led to the stagnation part of it, and that is that over the last 2 years, especially through the bulk of 2020, you had the U.S. government and state governments that were shutting down entire industries, telling entire industries they weren't allowed to work for their safety, of course, subsidizing crony industries that weren't going to be able to keep record profits and keep their stock prices high if they were out of business. So they just printed out more money and gave it away to them. Who thought that playing red light, green light with the entire economy, as well as printing out endless stacks of cash, would lead to a stagnating economy and record-breaking prices? And for those keeping track, for those who want to just blame this on Biden, yes, Biden has supported the policies that have led to this all the way along the way, even before it started. But this largely happened under Trump and Republicans and Democrats working together. And there are still Republicans working with Democrats now. This is a bipartisan thing. This is a D.C. problem, not just a one party over the other problem.
Libertarians have been saying this for some time. Both parties have become so addicted to spending with very little foresight, a very little concern for the consequences. And when the economy craters, when we hit a recession with inflation, you're going to wish it was the 70s, because it actually, if this economic picture takes shape, it will have actually been rosier in the 70s. Party panel sticking around.